Thank you. Deputy Eamon Gilmore.
Well, the last Corla. Firstly, I want to compliment colleague Deputy Kieran Lynch for bringing this Labour Party bill to the House in response to the economic emergency that we find ourselves in. The evidence of the economic emergency mounts by the day. 270 people have lost their job every day since this government took office. 1 in every 3 young men in the workforce is on the dole. Established businesses such as Hughes & Hughes going to the wall because of unrealistically high rents. Empty shop fronts spreading across our towns, cities and suburbs. And yet, while the casualties of the recession grow, this Fianna Fáil Green government prefers to stay in its bunker, more concerned about their own job security than the security and livelihoods of the people who keep this country on its feet. Because only people who are living in a bunker can ignore the desperate plight of businesses experiencing the sharpest economic downturn in our history while trapped in leases that only allow for an upward revision of rent. Only people who are living in a bunker would ignore the steady stream of redundancies from mostly small and medium-sized businesses which are folding under the twin pressures of their rent burden and their inability to access credit. The Labour Party first raised the issue of upward-only rent reviews in commercial leases in June of last year. We have raised it on the floor of this House on numerous occasions because we believed then, as we believe now, that this is an issue of vital national importance. We believe that every job and every livelihood is worth fighting for in this recession. If viable businesses are going to the wall because they cannot legally negotiate a more appropriate rent, then we as legislators have a duty to respond, and we have a duty to find a solution. Unfortunately, the present government does not agree. In response to pressure from the Labour Party last year, they made a small change to the law to allow for a downward review of commercial rents. But this change only applies to new leases negotiated on or after the 1st of March this year. It does nothing for the vast majority of businesses placed under unbearable pressure because of the terms of their existing lease. But to be fair, the Minister for Justice hasn't entirely forgotten the sector. He's decided to do what the government always does, faced with an urgent problem. He set up a committee. And this committee, he tells us, is due to report on the negotiation process for commercial rent reviews in June of this year, almost a year to the day after the Labour Party first raised the issue. Now, I want to ask the Minister for Justice how many viable businesses have had to shut up shop since last June because they were not entitled to negotiate a more appropriate rent, and how many more will close before next summer when his committee is due to report. In 2009 alone, 30,000 people lost their jobs in the retail sector at a cost to the Exchequer of €600 million. How many more jobs will be lost because the government would rather save face than pass the Labour Party's legislation? And make no mistake about it, more jobs will be lost. We already have evidence of owners of NAMA properties demanding large increases in rent from their tenants in order to maximise the value of their property in the NAMA process. It is clear that some landlords are not interested in the long-term viability of their tenants' businesses, but rather are looking to save their own skin now that the property bubble has burst. Yesterday in the Dáil, I asked the Taoiseach a straight question. Would the government support this legislation to allow for downward revision of commercial rents on existing leases for a limited period? Will he and the government support a straightforward measure that would ease the pressure on the retail sector and save jobs? He said no. He said that our proposed legislation is unconstitutional, but he refused to publish the advice he has received from the Attorney-General to that effect. And this is a typical response from this jaded government. Negative, closed to solutions that come from the outside, and closed to compromise. The Taoiseach will shortly be meeting a world leader whose motto is "Yes, we can." Yet our country's leader and our government seems in every instance to say, "No, we can't." I want to say to the members of this House tonight that the Taoiseach is mistaken in this. We can have a solution to this problem. The Labour Party's proposal is in keeping both with the letter and the spirit of our Constitution for the following reasons. Firstly, our proposed legislation is in the public interest. It is a clear response to the national emergency of high unemployment and a devastated retail sector. Retail sales fell by 14% in 2009, following on from their sharpest ever decline in 2008. The value of goods sold in 2009 was down almost 20%. The picture is clear. People are consuming less overall and spending less when they do. This is obviously a response to the catastrophic rise in unemployment on this government's watch, a drop in people's disposable income due to a raft of income tax increases and pay cuts, and a steep decline in consumer confidence and security. On top of this precipitous drop in demand, businesses find themselves unable to secure credit from the banks. In short, they find themselves in an impossible situation, without any of the usual means of weathering a downturn. The Labour Party has made positive proposals to address these issues and to get our economy moving again, proposals the government has consistently chosen to ignore. This legislation tonight would provide some immediate relief to businesses experiencing the sharp end of this government's economic mismanagement, and it would go some way towards halting the hemorrhaging of jobs in the retail sector. We are not proposing, as the Minister claimed last night, a wholesale assault on property rights. Far from it. Our legislation is a measured and proportionate response to the perfect storm that has beset our economy. Our legislation provides for a 2-year period in which rents under existing leases may be reviewed downward, upward or remain the same. This is simply to allow viable businesses and their landlords to negotiate a realistic market rent which reflects the prevailing economic climate. We are not asking that landlords accept less than the market rate for their property. Rather, we are proposing that the market be allowed to find its level in a way that is equitable for both landlords and tenants. As the law stands, it is only tenants who are feeling the full brunt of market economics, while landlords are cosily protected. As one business owner in my own constituency wrote, it seems some landlords
give way.
Are happy enough.
Would the deputy give way?
No, you didn't bother.
Would you give way?
You didn't bother attending.
Allow Deputy Gilmore to
Your own deputy suggested that we compensate landlords.
No, you've just come in at the very tail end.
Please.
No, you've just come in. You came in at the very tail end.
The Minister will allow deputies to speak in this House. Deputy Gilmore without interruption.
You've come in.
Deputy Gilmore without
interruption. At the tail end. Let me put something to you. Let me put something.
Please.
Let me put.
Deputy Gilmore is in possession. Members will not be shouted down.
Let me put something to you, because you came in here yesterday, and some of your colleagues have come in and said, we're offering false hope, or we're suggesting false hope, or whatever. Well, people who are out there and whose businesses are to the wall need some hope. And I want to make this suggestion to you. You say that this proposal is unconstitutional. Let me challenge you to do this.
Yeah.
Agree. No. Don't publish anything for the moment. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. Not going to publish anything for the moment. I know you're for. Let's do this. Agree to allow this pass here tonight.
Yes.
Let it go into committee. And let us all put our respective legal opinions on the table at committee. And if it turns out, if you can convince us in the committee stage debate that you're right and that there is a constitutional obstacle, well, we can withdraw the proposal. But at least give it a run. Don't shoot it down at the first opportunity. We're trying to find a solution to what is a real problem out there for people whose businesses are in trouble, where people are losing their jobs. It's a constructive proposal. You don't have to shoot it down just because you don't agree with it. The world isn't going to end if this passes here tonight and it goes on into the committee stage. You would at least allow people some opportunity to have it teased out, to have the law examined, and you would do something else, Minister, as well. You might be offering some practical assistance to those businesses that are trying to negotiate some relief on their rent at the moment. And that is help that they will be deprived of if you vote this down here tonight, because the message that will go out from here tonight to people who are negotiating rents is that the government has taken the side of the landlord in what are now active rent negotiations that are going on. Well, react to this now.
Who wants us to compensate the landlord?
React now.
That's what you wanted.
React now.
That's what you said.
Yeah, you're very good.
In possession.
You said that we may have to compensate the landlord.
Possession.
You are very good. No. Save the unusual partisan knockabout stuff. I'm saying to you, will you agree?
Minister, resume your seat.
Suggesting there is a practical suggestion. Let it go. That is all Ellen H. nonsense, and it has no place in serious. It has no place.
Have some regard for the chair.
It has no place in a serious debate. I'm asking you, serious proposition, let this go through here tonight, let it into committee, put up your legal advice on the table, we'll do the same, we'll thrash it out. If you're right, we'll withdraw it, But if there is some prospect of this forming a basis for giving some relief to people, at least it will have done some good.